big picture priorities or anything like that this summer that you want to see from your team or implement? Or?
Yeah, not really. Just I think we're very fortunate in today's landscape right now, really to be talking to one person, right? And so, you go and talk about some of your defensive responsibilities and some different actions, your ball screen D or ISO ball screen D or double in the post and how your rotations go. And, there's only one guy out there that hasn't been in our practices before that was in our practice today. So, obviously Miles is, with USA Basketball right now, so he'll have to get up to speed when he gets here. But more than anything, just trying to, defensively know what we're doing and giving them our defensive guidelines and principles so we can play a lot more in the summer, if that makes any sense, just going on a foreign trip, just to get better. If you sit there and you do all drill work, all summer, just go round and round, it makes for a pretty long summer when you're going on your foreign trip. So just trying to get some of those things installed so we know what we're doing.
This year that you guys are playing?
No, it's just something I've always done when we went on a foreign trip.
Anything you're trying to put in this year or anything like that?
Yeah, we're not going to turn it over. We put that in. So, no, not really. Just obviously you're always looking at different actions offensively to score the basketball. The one thing that happens is you also don't want to hamper individuals. You want things to kind of go organically in June, July, August, September, October until you get into things, because guys can make improvements. This guy can't do this guy can't do this, instead of really focusing on what they can do, because you really see guys to make big jumps, especially guys from their freshman to sophomore year. So,
Matt, since you have such a group of known quantities on this team, where do you gauge improvement from those guys that came back? How do you
Right. I think, once we get to competition and playing, I think more than anything, you gauge it through their confidence or lack thereof, which you don't want to see, but sometimes you do see. I talked to them the other day just about, expectations and how successful of a season that we can have. But you also got to believe in yourself. And you believe in yourself through work. And the more work you put in individually, the more you feel better about yourself. I think as a player or as a young person, we're all starving for somebody else to instill that in us. I try to be as positive as possible to do that, but there's really only one person that can give you confidence in that yourself. But you get that through your work. You get that by living in the gym and just being confident in what you can do. Obviously, you have to have that, and you should have that just being here by itself. But through competition sometimes and through some failures, everybody doubts themselves. It's the old story about, the hero and the goat. They both felt the same thing, but they both didn't do the same thing. You got to be able to push through that adversity and allow that adversity to make you stronger.
Was it like Christmas morning when you found out the news that Zach was going to be coming back for another year with you?
Well, the one thing I think that gets lost, especially with fans, is they just want him to come back. And that's it. We want him to do what's best for him. And when you care about somebody, that's what you want. And the dream of playing into the NBA is every single one of these guys, that's their dream. And if this is the best year for him to do it, and that's the feedback that he's getting, then so be it. The one thing that jumped out for me was, he probably was the most improved player in the country. I don't think there's not an award for that, is there? I don't think we have that one. But he probably was, being the National Player of the Year and making that kind of jump. So why leave the environment you've made that kind of improvement if you want to have that long career? With that being said, if he could have got somebody that would have guaranteed a first-round pick or somebody guaranteeing that he would be in their rotation, he would have jumped on that, and rightfully so. And he was still going to get a guaranteed contract, but he was going to be in the second round. He was going to be in the 30s or the 40s. But I think he just felt like one more season, keep getting better, keep expanding. You can't lose the perspective that this will be a 7th year of organized basketball. So my 7th year of organized basketball was in 6th grade. So you just got to keep that in perspective. He's still growing as a player, even though he was dominant this past year.
What do you want to see him get better at this year?
Just the same things he improved at last year. I think his decision making his ball screen defense, his rebounding, his passing, they all improve. And so just keep getting better at those things. You don't really have to reinvent the wheel. You just got to be better at what you do. I think what you see in a workout for him is he's a lot better shooter. And he didn't shoot before. And that was something, that when you shoot 58% from the line, I'm not going to let you shoot threes. Obviously, right, at 15 feet, you're 58%, you move back 6 feet. But then when you shoot 73, 74%, I think that's something that he could do. Shoot perimeter shot, shoot that. The one thing about it is he's such a tough cover, because when he's physical and he's diving and he's doing stuff, we're living in that bonus. We're living at that free throw line. We're getting layups. We're getting people in foul trouble. Jump shots is not going to get us there. Even though I think that's something that he showed the NBA that he's not superior there, but he can definitely knock down an open shot.
You mentioned players' improvements from years 1 to year 2. Braden and Fletcher obviously were pretty good right away.
Right.
What kind of jumps can those guys make this year?
Well, I think for really our team, just not them. The thing that surprised me more than anything was our inability to make open shots. So we had the #1 efficient offense in the country on February 1st. We ended up 12th. In the last 6 weeks of the season, we just kind of collectively lost confidence, on not shooting tough shots, but shooting wide open shots. So I think just, having some poise, being able to knock down some of those shots and just have that confidence that I talked about earlier, I think that's going to help everybody. I thought Braden did a really good job of finding people. He needs to make a jump and just his poise when things maybe don't go his way as much, and just staying with it. And then getting better on the defensive end. Fletch was a guy that made some huge shots for us, early in the season, early in the Big Ten season, and then didn't make as many as it went along. But that's not something that I worry about with those guys. They're going to make shots for us. But it's just hard. It's hard on your body. It's demanding on you. And sometimes, you look at a guy like John Diebler at Ohio State, you look at Dakota Mathias at Purdue, both of them shot around 20, 23% as freshmen, and then you see them just be lights out for 3 years after that. It just takes a time, and it takes that toll on your body, where you got to get used to it. So, I definitely think both of those guys will make a big jump the next year.
When do you hope that Lance has?
Well, I think he'll be great just because he has a feel. He's been through it. He was here for 5 years. He had every role. He redshirted. He averaged 8-9 minutes his freshman year. Didn't play all the time, especially when Klein and Carson got it going there down the stretch. I stuck with those guys more. And then he was a 3-year starter. He had a year where he was lights out on the road shooting threes. He had a year where he struggled shooting from three. He really knows our offense. So I just think, just from being and having the success that he did and some of the ups and downs, I think that's the one thing that we can learn is just getting through adversity. I thought we pushed through adversity during the season, but obviously when you get in that tournament and you have that adversity at the wrong time, it's a killer. Well, I think, what we lacked last year was some overall quickness and some overall athleticism on the perimeter. And I think Cam and Miles Colvin will give us that athleticism. I think Lance Jones will give us that athleticism, that quickness, defense, experience. So I think all three of those guys can really help us, on the perimeter with those things.
Matt, I may have missed part of it. I got here a little bit late. 65 was closed. So my question is about Cam. I'm going to interview Cam here in a little bit. Maybe you answer the question. What's he going to bring to the team this year? Sitting on the bench, getting more prepared for Big Ten. What does it mean to
Well, I think he'll give us athleticism. More than anything, he's a guy that can make open shots. He can rebound the basketball. What you want to see, and you don't really know yet, is the defensive side of things. I think that's for all young guys, especially guys that sit out, their first year. Who can you guard? Can you guard, 2s and 3s? Can you guard 3s and 4s? Can you guard all of them? If he's a guy that can end up guarding all of them and making open shots and then giving us that athleticism, he'll find his way. And that's what's really difficult when you're on a deep team and an experienced team. You just don't you just don't know. But when you saw us and we're 22-1, and then we have some of the struggles that we had, and that's what's hard, right? You win your league, you win your tournament, but you still had some struggles there. That's where I think a guy like Cam, Miles Colvin, Lance Jones, the addition of those guys are going to help us in some of those weaknesses.
One follow-up with Cam. What's his family mean? Obviously, he's been around Purdue his whole life. What does that mean to him and you knowing his family?
Right. Well, they're Purdue fans, and so obviously his dad being from here, him growing up following Purdue, and I think you see that, just any of our guys that grow up that way in the state and being Purdue fans, you have that pride already, but also, especially in today's landscape, you have to want to be somewhere. There's, in my opinion, there's a lot of coaches out there that are calling players rentals, and to me, that's not. They're not rentals; they're ours. They're part of a Purdue family. We've taken 2 guys out of the portal in 3 years. It's the fewest amount of transfers high major programs take them in the country, and I want to keep it the way it is. I want to keep it with guys like Cam Heide, that I feel I got a chance to be a great player, but our program's been about development, and that's what you want it to be. You want guys to keep getting better every single year.
Now that Zach is back, how do you usually go about getting minutes for Caleb and for Trey and for even Will? Is that something you're thinking about, or how to find those guys?
Well, they tell me. It's something everybody always asks me at the beginning of years. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? And you're waiting for them to tell you, what they're going to do. Their production, is going to lead to their minutes. Now, it's hard because Zach's going to zap 30 of those minutes, and rightfully so.